exposure is around where we are as a country.
Yeah.
Let me start with my good friend, my college mate in the University of Nairobi School of Business, John Mbadi, and with whom we served for 10 years, a whole 10 years in the budget committee. So I know he knows because we were in the budget committee together. Now, John Mbadi is going to be confronted by 4 major risks. The first risk, the most important one, is of course this expenditure. Now with all the 2 collapsed finance bills, it's a must. He must take the knife and cut government expenditure. He must do a microscopic review with some boldness, and he's very stubborn. Let me tell you something. At least that's one. If he doesn't do it, he can only refuse to do it. John Mbadi is a very stubborn man. I can tell you, from the university to parliament to budget committee. So if he decides to do the right thing, he will do the right thing. And the right thing he must do. He must face all accounting officers, all ministries, departments, and agencies on the eye and tell them you've got to cut all that, the extra fat. He needs help, and I think because he won't have the same kind of political baggage that some of us coming from the Kenya Kwanza side, I think if he comes as a rank outsider, he can be able to navigate that one. But that's only part of the story. The other part is that John Mbadi has to camp at the KRA. He has to turn it upside down. Like Jesus went to the place of worship and turned tables upside down. That's what I expect John Mbadi to do. To go to KRA, scream from that 10th floor, turn the whole place upside down, and tell them, I was just for the last 3-4 years, consistently KRA has missed the target. Consistently. The last time, 2019, we got 107% performance. I've been tracking that, in terms of targets vis-a-vis actual performance. So if you don't raise revenue, and I'm not saying add taxes, we're in that situation whereby maybe he's going to be fortunate enough to add the taxes. But even within the current, tax framework, much more needs to be done to reform KRA. I expect John Mbadi to place this right on top of his agenda, that KRA must be reformed. We must bring more people in the tax bracket so that the few people who are paying taxes are able to observe some relief. I'm expecting him to praise the issue of automation, right in the front of KRA, so that now the issues of tax evasion, we can reduce them. If he does that, not only I think, sitting from where I think, if John Mbadi does his work right, he can hit 5 trillion shillings in revenue without adding taxes. I'm sure he can, And if he does that, then we start to bend the curve in terms of all these other issues. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. He can hit 5 trillion, and I see that something like VAT, for example, if we hit 5 trillion with the same tax regime, we can reduce VAT from 18% to 16%, from 16% to 14%, for example. Why not? If we get more people to pay taxes. But that's a challenge. Finally, John Mbadi has to do much more in terms of relationship with our development partners, with the markets, not just partners, but also with the markets. He has to reform the debts. He has to mature debts which were, questionably taken by the previous regimes, which were short-term, high cost debts. Go for more concession. He has to do a lot of transformation, a lot of boldness required there, and he's doing that at a time when the market, the other day, I think Moody's downgraded us, Fitch downgraded us. If I know IMF has postponed the review, the review that was supposed to pass the Kenyan package end of July, they said end of August. If that gets postponed again, John Mbadi is going to lose some weight. The head of state is a core CS for National Treasury, for all intents and purposes. He's a core CS. Some of the things that the president has to do are diplomatic. He has to pick the phone and talk to the chaps at World Bank and talk to the MD of IMF and all that. He has to invoke his political capital, especially on the global arena. Something I think he's been doing very well. So John Mbadi, he really needs the president and the goodwill of the president to be able to do that, because they are co-joining him. There's some things that Mbadi can do, and he can do it very well. There are things which only the head of state can do, and I'm really praying for him that we really remain on the good books. For example, for World Bank and for IMF, that I'm also fearing, because if IMF doesn't come through end of this month, in another 19 days, this shilling might hit 170. The dollar might hit 170 to the shilling, So I'm really hoping and praying for him, And on Sunday when I go to church, I'll say a prayer for John Mbadi to hope that IMF stay engaged on this. I'm just saying IMF specifically because that is the first real litmus test for John Mbadi. And the second litmus test will come a year down the line with the maturities that are coming in there. If I was to advise John Mbadi, I would tell him really, to use some of the education we were taught by Professor Nzoma in school together, me and him, and really publish, a spreadsheet of what is maturing when. The debt commission that some people really bastardize is very important, so that and John Mbadi needs to put his energy there so that we are all able to see what, because let me tell you something. This year the shilling stabilized to 120 from 160 just by paying the euro bond. You can see the impact of paying debts on the currency. If we are in the bad books of IMF now or 1 year down there, because I've looked at those maturities. I've looked at the maturities coming next year. They don't look very good. And I consider myself I've done very well. But I know one guy who has done better than me in that cabinet. That's Professor Juguna Ndung'u. He's really steered the ship. He's really navigated that. It's like driving a manual car up the hill when it's raining. You have to put on the wiper, balance the clutch, balance the accelerator, work on your brakes. It's really very delicate. He needs prayers, grace, and luck all at the same time.